opportunity for the public to address the board. Yep.
I guess there's a couple things. I guess first off, Dr. Littlefield has brought up an interesting thing about the video stuff, and I was trying to take a look at this in terms of the waiver that we signed at the beginning of the year. I know that Mr. Benson knows that I had an issue where I had not signed it. I said did not authorize the release of information. There wasn't anything wrong with they did or anything like that. I signed that waiver because it was an all-inclusive waiver where it was, written plus photo and potential video. So I just negated that, and my wife overrode me on that because of publishing my son's achievements in regards to his honors and so forth. And I came in and changed that. One of the reasons I don't like signing that is because it's an all-inclusive form. And I was wondering, based on what Dr. Littlefield said about the video issue, and my concerns with the fact that the potential of a lot of video cameras being in here, I would like to have a form where you take that out. Maybe it's I authorize the release for like honors, because it's something my son wanted to do. I really don't want his image taken or in video without my knowledge of it. That was one of the first things I'd like for the board to consider is separation of that form. The other thing too is that this is I'm not in support of BYOD, but not for the reasons you think. And maybe I shouldn't say that if you think anything other than what you think, I guess. But I'm more in favor of utilizing our resources in regards to supporting the 21st century classroom configuration, looking at regards to how to integrate the iPads in with the teachers. I've been doing my own I dedicate a couple hours a week to read about things, and I went to the Global Chalkboard and all these things, and I saw these really neat tools where it was very interesting to see that there's the ways in which the teachers can implement things in the lessons. I'm not an educator and so forth, I'm an engineer, but one of the things I noticed on that was in a lot of the reports. There's a lot of reports from Boston College I read on one-to-one computing. And one of the things they say is most of the failures are attributed to teacher adoption of technology. And then when you really dig down to it, it's the lack of resources in which to support the teacher, to give them the time in which to implement it in lesson plans and stuff of that nature. My feeling is that this BYOD stuff is a distraction on many levels, but I also think it just draws off resources where we could really effectively do the Common Core stuff and integration. As an indication, it looks like you got a couple of years of implementation. And the question is, could we spend that more effectively, utilizing the resources that we have with the kids and so forth, and building up a justification that way for maybe adding more devices and such. I still think there's saturation issues, and I think you guys spoke to it. The 21st century classroom is not about just technology, it's about setting up and collaborations and such, and the workspace. To that end, the last thing I'm going to say, I come to these board meetings every once in a while, and I listen to it, I watch the videos and such. I ask questions. My intent is not to, my intent is to understand. I would say that I understand what's going on here. And I'll say this is that, and funny enough is I always say that I always look at organizations. I talk to different people, and when I talk to them, it depends on what kind of feedback I get. And I know that I don't have a lot of interface with Mr. Benson a couple times, Mr. Harris, I've had, and Mr. Barstow, and even Becky Wing, and I do know that you got two gems here in regards to Straight Talk, because I've had enough interface with them, Mr. Barstow and also Becky Wing. When I ask them questions, they're very direct and they get to the point. And one of the things I see going on here is this: I'm still confused right now about security and encryption. Not that I'm an expert in that area, but I'm concerned my son comes in here with his device and goes out to the web and it doesn't have encryption. And one of his friends tells him to go to a proxy site, and next thing you know, he's compromised his passcodes or something like that to some, Russian website and stuff of that nature. So I like to see, when the board asks a question, that a simple, concise answer is given. And I think that this would stop this embarrassment. And I would say, I agree with Dr. Littlefield. We don't pay him to implement technology. I think Dr. Schenkel does it because his love of understanding and immersion. He's a 21st century administrator. And so that's why he does it, and the love of it. But the other thing about it is, there's one thing about Dr. Schenkel, I will say. He facilitates the board, the town council, and make sure that all the information is presented in a way in which we can make decisions very quickly and rapidly. And I know there's angst and stuff here. And I know there's angst from me even in regards to the budget stuff. But the reality of it is you guys got to fix this. And you've got to figure out how you answer questions succinctly and go that extra yard just to make it. This is kind of getting ridiculous. Thank you.
Is there any other?
Kathy O'Hara, 2 Marcel Way. The first thing I want to address is the high school reassignment issue. Many of you know that I went through a hearing process, and in doing that, I talked to the Department of Education quite often. One of the people I spoke to, Stephen Berwick, was a 25-year veteran at the Department of Education. And I asked these same questions directly to them. Was it illegal? No. Is it the partial tuition illegal? No. More so equal than free. So as long as you're paying the equal amount that you pay for Clifton students to go to Manchester, that's not necessarily an issue. When you get a lawyer involved, yes, you need a lawyer, but they're going to give you the most conservative answer. And I think as we go into want to be innovative, we need to actually have the school board come up with what the public wants, what we can do, and go to the lawyer and say, this is what we want to do, why can't we do it? And then have specific answers. What is the real consequence? I did not hear tonight a single real consequence. I think it was outlined once before that there is maybe a financial cost, but it is equal to the tuition. So I think before we make any decisions, I think we should find out what the actual consequences is. There have not been any lawsuits, so why would we want to limit the reassignment again? And so that's my recommendation. And that we should ask more, why can't we do this, rather than why we shouldn't do it. And also to address a little bit about what happened tonight. Matt, I was at your meeting last time. I find often when we come here, there's 20 questions, and again, the answers aren't straightforward. So I agree with Todd that we need simple answers. They need simple answers. Maybe putting it in writing, making it clearer. And you're laughing, and that's what you did last at the meeting. I watched you laugh and roll your eyes at Dave's questions. So what I want to encourage is that people understand why he's asking questions. You know, I just met all of the school board at the same time, and I know it's excessive questions to you, but I can tell you I could not understand an answer. So maybe what is he trying to get at? How can we make the system safer? So then your answer should be, this is what we can do, how we can do it, and what it would cost. And instead of having that constant little bickering, battering back and forth, it would be clearer. And I think we need to do that more across the board. That's just my recommendation. Thank you.
I know we're all tired and I know it's really late. Kim Regan, and I'm from Autumn Run Upset. I really only have a quick couple of things. I've missed the last few school board meetings, and this is the first chance I've had to attend. And I sat here tonight, and I have to say, Matt, maybe it's just inexperience in the group or whatever, but your facial expressions and the way you express yourself, that you're laughing.
This isn't a badger, Matt.
It's embarrassing.
No,
but I really wanted to address all of our staff here. I know most of you fairly well. I look at every one of you, and I have 2 children that have been through this district. And you guys are awesome, and I know that, and I know the experience. Just recently, you helped me with something you probably didn't even realize, and I appreciate that. But tonight, if I was the teacher in front of the classroom, and you were my students, I would have sent you all out of the classroom. And I'll tell you why.
We're not
If you were
beating them up.
standing, no, I just want to
No.
make a suggestion. It's not a beating up. For me to sit and watch all of you on your computers, every one of you, checking email, when we should be paying attention. I know it's not always what we want to listen to, but we're here to listen. And I respect the fact that the board doesn't have their devices out on the counter. It really makes me feel like, as a public watching, that you really aren't interested to be here and you're not paying attention. It's just my personal opinion and my input. And I'm sorry if I've offended anybody, but it is a public opinion, and that's what I see when I sit in the audience and look forward. Thank you.